Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Prospect Watch with your host, Lance Green.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us again on another edition of Prospect Watch, a very special edition of Prospect Watch, because why, Steel?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. On this show, we're going to be taking a trip around the world. And on this trip around the world, we're going to be making some very important stops in some very key countries. As we make these stops, we're going to be taking a look at each country's top prospect for this upcoming 2025 NHL Draft in Chicago. And probably these players will be playing in the IIHF World Junior Championship. Some of them maybe. What do you think, Lance?
Definitely some of them will be. Now, this is stemming, guys, from an article I wrote earlier in the year showcasing who I thought would be some of the best prospects from each country. And, most of them have pretty much stayed right where I thought they would be, right, Steel? So,
Yeah.
And like you said, Steel, we have a very special tournament coming up of the world nations going up against each other here right after Christmas, and that is the IIHF's World Junior Championships. And some of these players have already been drafted that will be in this tournament, but some of these players that we'll be mentioning in this show today are going to be playing in this tournament because they are their nation's best players, or at least some of them. So let's get into it, Steel. I'm ready to talk some prospects from around the world. We even talked to one or two of these prospects. So
I know. I mean, that's the really awesome part about this whole thing here with what we're doing at Prospect Watch. By the way, if you guys like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe. That really helps us out, man. We really appreciate that. Just hit that like button or hit the subscribe. That gets you tuned into whenever we get new episodes coming out here with this very special episode of a trip around the world, checking out all of each country's best top prospects from Prospect Watch. So, like I said, if you like what we're doing, please, please, please hit the like and subscribe. And our first stop in our trip around the world is going to be, what do you think? Belarus?
All right. Alphabetical order it is.
Alphabetical order it is, right?
There you go. Way to keep it interesting there.
Right. Start at the top. Start at the top, even though it's not the most alphabetical first name that we should probably start with. You know what I mean? With Yaroslav Bryzgalov coming out of Belarus. He's currently now playing with the Des Moines Buccaneers in the USHL. And talk to me about the 6'3", 205-pound center who is a lefty. Talk to me about him, man.
Well, I mean, he is. There's not a ton of prospects going to be coming out of Belarus. Mostly goaltenders, right? Goaltenders have been hot and heavy coming out of there, and then they go play in the KHL. But this one's a forward, like you said, generally a center. And last year he had a great year over there. But he scored 21 goals, 48 assists for 69 points in 52 games played last year over there, and was a plus 44. But he's pretty exciting player. But this season, like some of the other prospects in this show that we're going to be mentioning, he decided to bring his talents over to the United States to showcase himself better, playing against a lot better competition, and where he's going to be potentially drafted to, a team in the United States or Canada, right? So this year, like Steele said, he's playing for the Des Moines Buccaneers of the USHL. And in 25 games so far this year, he scored 5 goals, 1 assist for 6 points. Now, Not the greatest showing. He is battling, trying to learn to speak the language as well, and dealing with all the culture changes. Probably the only one in the locker room from Belarus. So that's got to be tough. Going away from his family at such a young age and stuff. But this is what these players have to go through if they are at this level. So, I expect more out of this guy the second half of this season coming up, now that he is more settled in. And I expect his numbers to shoot up because, beginning of the season, guys had him in a late second round, early third round draft area. And I think it's kind of slipped a little bit because obviously there's been some other players that have shown through and everything like that. But like I said, I think he's got the size at 6'3" and 205 pounds, like Steele said. He's at a desirable position. A lot of teams always are looking for centers. So, I think it's a guy that's not going to be an immediate impact for a team's farm system. He's going to take some time to develop, maybe play again next season in the USHL. But he's a guy that could progress and learn and become a very good player, hopefully, at the pro level one day.
I think so, too. I see his game being able to transition. I mean, he's already got the NHL body. And it's just like what you said, Lance, with the center position. He's really pretty good at the face-off dot, too. So that's going to help him moving forward, especially if he does get drafted this year. And as far as I'm concerned, I still see him late second round. Maybe you might even see the maybe early third with him. You know what I mean? But it's like you said, it's all going to depend on how this all shakes out and if he's going to be the best available at his position at a certain time in the draft. You know what I mean? So I think we're pretty spot on though with that late second round, early third. What do you think, Lance?
I think so. And it's going to be, at that point, it's going to be a project, somebody that's going to want and to invest in this guy and, and see him through and for the next year or two. So.
Exactly. And so, all right, well, I'll tell you what, how about if we move on here to the next one, which we're going to wave the Team Canada flag.
Yeah.
Right? Well, and
yeah, this one I had a little trouble picking just one guy, Steele.
I was just going to say, so we couldn't just pick one flavor for Canada. No, we had to have two flavors for Canada.
Well, I could have thought of three, really, because they... But
or I maybe this many.
Yeah.
Maybe. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you.
Canada's usually pretty stacked with prospects. I mean, that's where the game itself originated from. So go figure. But two guys in particular, and I believe both of them may be playing for Team Canada come the World Junior Championships.
I know one of them is for sure.
But I know one of them is for sure.
So, all right.
Two guys.
All right. So let's start at the top here with the one we know for sure is on Team Canada for this coming IIHF World Junior Championships that's going to start on December 26th. Make sure you check out your local stations or whatever and get yourself tuned into these games, man, because I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be some good hockey, so be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to check out SteelFlyers.com/links/prospect watch. Check it out. We've interviewed quite a few players that maybe not necessarily will be in this tournament, but will for sure be some players that you'll hear in the upcoming draft. So be sure to go over to SteelFlyers.com/links/prospect watch. Check out Lance's latest article, which the show is based off of, where we talk about all the latest prospects from each country, and then you can catch all the latest shows that we've done as well too. So, all right, here we go. Canada, number one, and we're talking about Porter Martone. Okay, and look, he's probably the assumed what 1A, 1B maybe in this year's upcoming draft, I think, playing for the Brampton Steelheads. This 6'3", 207-pound right winger has got it all going on for him right now, man. And I can understand why you would pick this guy as the guy from Canada.
Well, it's pretty easy. Most of the even preseason projections had him going in the top 5, and obviously he's still right up there at Christmas time as going potentially in the top 5 of this next draft this spring. But like you said, he's got the NHL frame at 6'3", 207 pounds. He's a power forward. He crashes the net. He can puck handle. He can snipe. I mean, this guy is on point. And last year in the OHL for the Steelheads, he scored 33 goals, 38 assists for 71 points, and was a plus 25. And already this year in just 26 games, he has 21 goals, 33 assists for 54 points as a plus 16. Now, if he keeps this up, he's projecting to hit 50 goals and roughly about 130 points this season.
Woo!
If he keeps up the pace he's at. So, this guy is what we're talking about here, a top prospect, right?
As advertised.
It's a top prospect, not only for Team Canada, but in this draft.
For sure. I mean, we see this young player night in and night out be one of the best players on the ice for his team, and not only just for his team, but just out on the ice, period. You know what I mean? He's definitely in that class by himself right now, playing in the OHL, and he is as advertised. He is the real deal here, and he comes across as a very coachable type player and a player that's very capable of being that 200-foot responsible player that most teams are going to covet. You know what I mean? And especially being a right winger, it's another offensive position where I think this draft this year is a little bit on the higher end of forwards/centers this year. More so than what it was last year, I believe. You know what I mean? And this is one of the reasons why I think is Porter Martone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why most of Team Canada is made up of guys that are already drafted, that are 18, 19 years old, and there's only a few guys that are, 17, 18 years old and not drafted by an NHL team already. And that's got to mean you're pretty darn special to be on this roster anyway, regardless of him being his age and being undrafted. But just to make Team Canada is what most of these kids dream about coming from this country. So
exactly, and we have spoken to more than enough players who have played for Team Canada and was able to strap that gold around their neck. You know what I mean? And we know and see and feel what that means for these young guys to represent their country to play for Team Canada, Team USA, or any of the other teams as well. You know what I mean? It's special when you get to represent your country and then you get to lay that gold medal around your neck. You know what I mean? So, all right. Since we couldn't decide on him, and the other player you're talking about is Michael Misa, and he is playing for the Saginaw Spirit, another OHL player. Both of these players are league leading in scoring points in the whole 9 yards. 6'1", 185 pound. He is a forward. Okay, and talk to me about Misa.
What's not to like about this guy, Steel? I mean, this kid can score with the best of them. The OHL doesn't seem to have anybody besides maybe Kayshawn Aitchison that can stop him. Who we interviewed.
And we know he can stop Martone. So I mean,
yeah, and he stopped Misha on occasion too. So Yeah, I mean, 30 goals in 30 games this year, 31 assists for 61 points, a plus 23. He's already passed his goal totals from all of last year. He had 29 goals last season in 67 games played. He has a goal a game average right now, and is projecting to finish this season 65 goals and 132 points. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. In the prospect challenge against Team USA, he played in 2 games. He had a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. I mean, the kid produces against the best in the OHL on a nightly basis, but then, he's proven himself in, the prospect challenge and against some of the best in the world. And, definitely against the United States already, but we'll see him again against the best the world has to offer coming up, not in this tournament per se, but he's going to be there year in and year out and get his dues for sure. He is another guy that's going to be a top 5 prospect in this summer's draft, and for good reason, man. I mean, he is the OHL right now, leading everything in goals,
exactly.
Assists. He's maybe topped by just a few players that are already drafted by teams, but yeah, he's leading the league in points, guys. Plus minus is way up there. Points per game, over 2 points per game average right now. Only him and Martone are doing that. I do believe in the whole league. So, I mean, just really 2 special players for Team Canada right here.
Exactly. And both of these players will go in the top 5, I believe, easily, I think. Yeah. They both have the body / frame. They both have the worth ethic. They're both playing for Team Canada for this. But I understand why you had a hard time picking picking one player for Canada, because we probably could have picked 3 other ones.
Definitely, yeah. I mean,
right?
One in every position, yeah.
Yeah, all right, okay. Hey, what do you know? That might be an idea.
Sounds like a whole nother show, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, see, we're both thinking the same thing. All right, Czechia, and since we're going, alphabetical order here, and we're on the flag of Czechia, and we cannot be talking about none other than the Youngstown Phantom, Adam Benak, and I probably did not say that name correctly, but 5'7", 161-pound center, shooting left for Chechnya. Man, talk to me about this guy. I know we have reached out to him to try to get him on the show, but talk to me about what's going on with this young player from here, man. I mean, he is a special player for sure.
Yeah, another guy who came over, Steel, to North America to play hockey this year. And if you're not familiar with this guy, you may remembering from tournaments prior where he's played for Chechnya and really made a name for himself there. But he is a diminutive player at 5'7". He's a dangler, an offensive type player, offensive center. And he can just skate like the wind. Came over this year to Youngstown of the USHL, and really, they were excited. I talked to the staff at Youngstown before he even arrived, and they were asking me about him. And I said, you guys got a special one there. English isn't the absolute best, so that's why they didn't really want him to come on just yet with us, but we're going to touch base later in the season and hopefully get him on before the draft. Fingers crossed, but who knows?
I have faith in you, my brother.
Yeah, we'll give it our best shot to kind of peruse them into letting us talk to him. But as of right now, this season, 26 games, 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points. He's really been bringing it on here lately. Like I would say he's going to continue to do as the season progresses. He's getting used to the smaller ice surface. He's getting used to, the day ins and day outs of, playing over here, and speaking the language. He's getting the language a little bit better as well. But, just a phenomenal player. And, definitely tore it up at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. This past season scoring 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points in 5 games. He's a special one for sure. And he's a guy who's just going to be fun to watch, continue to develop. Again, I think, these foreign players, they're going to need another year at least. To really kind of hone their craft there. But I think he's going to be probably a second round player, and could very well jump up to the early second round, depending the wants and needs of certain teams.
So I hear what you're saying, but the only thing that really kind of is holding me back is just the size. Do you know what I mean? For being the age that he is and being the size that he is, I mean, that's kind of small. Actually, that's a lot small.
Mm-hmm.
To be playing in the NHL when you got guys that are, 6'5" and 240 pounds coming at you, and you're 5'7" and 160 pounds. No, wait, let me rephrase. You are 5'10" and 180 pounds with all your equipment and skates on. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's still not a good ratio. So the fact that he's fast, the fact that he's a spark plug, the fact that he's able to, you look and blink and he's gone and he's somewhere else. I mean, that's the only thing I think that's going to be able to get him to exactly with what you said.
For sure.
Second round.
Yeah. He's elusive. He's elusive for sure. I mean, and even having NHL GMs like Danny Briere, who is only 5'9", but Danny still trumps him, at 5'7". So it's definitely a risk, and depending on when you draft him, it's going to be a little bit higher risk because of his size. Obviously, you're looking at a guy like Porter Martone that's 6'3" and over 200 pounds, or that's definitely seems like a guy that could stand the test of time in a rigorous NHL season over this type player. But Benak is seriously elusive, and that's one thing that is going to help his game or draft stock a little bit. But it's definitely concerning. I would want to see him shoot up another 2 inches at least before Hopefully. The draft. Somebody hand this kid a cup of milk or something. I don't know, but
we'll have to We'll have to hook him up with a meal or two, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 6
chicken
or 20.
going.
But yeah, man. All right. Okay, so the next stop in our little world tour here is going to be the lovely country of Finland with Jesper Kotajarvi. Did I say that right?
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
Jesper Kotajarvi. Okay, 5'11", 179-pound defenseman, playing for the national team, and this guy. He's got some snarl. He's got a little snot to him, but he does also have a little bit of offense as well too. So I really like his game. Talk to me about Jesper.
Yeah, it's surprising that Finland doesn't have more guys towards the top of the draft. I mean, for years they produced, quite a handful of guys every year that went in the first round, but I don't really project this guy going until maybe the second round or early third even. But
that's kind of what I was thinking,
one of my favorites. He is one of my favorites from Finland, nonetheless. He's got a really heavy shot from the point. He's very good mobility-wise, moving around, dances around that blue line, I like to say, as the puck is cycling in the offensive zone. But he's a two-way guy as well. He's gonna get back just as much as he's gonna try to push to score. And he's played at times in the Liga this year, which is good. He's getting his feet wet a little bit. No points just yet there, but he is a defenseman. He's not a high-scoring one, but he's at the U20 level. He has a couple of goals, 4 goals in that this season. So I like this prospect, and I think certain teams, maybe an Anaheim Ducks or teams like that like their Finnish players, I think they're going to snap him up and be willing to sit there and develop this kid for a while. But he does. I think he is signed right now. So they're going to have to wait for him anyway, even if they wanted to bring him over. I think he's signed till 2026. So,
okay. I mean, I do have that same kind of feeling. He does seem to be more of a 200-foot player, being a defenseman. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what we like. We like him being a +4 so far on the year. That's a good thing as far as being a defenseman, and we like him playing the defense first. And then when he's able to jump up on the play, he's able to be able to have some good production. So, and exactly with what Lance said, he does have a really good heavy shot. I think he's already got an NHL shot already. You know what I mean? We're just kind of hoping that in the next year or two that he gets to develop, that he does put on another inch or two, maybe, and another 10 or so pounds. Would definitely put him in the 3rd round, I think. Solidly in the 3rd round all day.
For sure.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you have him kind of 2nd round, you know what I mean? But I think he's more of a 3rd rounder.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I wrote that article, I think he possibly was a 2nd round player, projecting wise, but other guys show up and stuff and surprise a lot of people. So he may get bounced back to the 3rd. It all depends what teams are really looking for still. You never know.
Exactly. Especially with him being a defenseman, you know what I mean? And somebody that's more of a better defenseman, you know what I mean? So, all right. So we're hopping across here a little bit and going down, and we're heading into Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And
Deutschland.
And I got to tell you something. It's when you come to this country and you think, wow, a top hockey prospect, and you got to go, did you just say Germany? Yes, we did say Germany with a top hockey prospect. David Lewandowski, a great 6'2", 176-pound left-handed forward who's playing right now for the Saskatoon Blades. And this kid's got a motor, man. I got to tell you, man, I like the work ethic. I like he's got a good body on him. You know what I mean? He does display some. You see the flashes. You know what I mean? When you watch his tape, you can see the flashes. So he's got it in him. He just probably needs a little bit more direction. You know what I'm saying?
A little more fine tuning for sure. Germany is surprising. I love the prospects when they don't produce a lot of them, but when they do, I mean, Leon Draisaitl, Tim Stützle, Seider, man, when they do, they get a good one.
I mean,
shoo, guys you want to build a team around or whatever. But
exactly.
Lewandowski, I think he's a great young forward. Another guy, like we just said, that is coming over to this country. He was late coming over to this country too.
Yeah.
I think he played a little in Germany before coming over in the Dell at the top level there, and came over. He decided to come over here and sign with the Blades of the WHL, and it's gone pretty well for him since he's been here. 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points in 20 games played, and he's a plus 13, which is really good, especially for a center. And like Steel said, big body guy, 6'2", 176. I think that frame will fill out nicely. Maybe you'll get another inch out of him and he'll be like a 6'3", 195 or something by the time, a couple of years comes or something like that, hopefully. But I mean, he is projecting, even coming over late, to be scoring over 20 goals and over 40 points this season. I want to see what he does at this World Junior Championships. He is a player that's going to be playing for Team Germany. And I think that, he's going to be one to stand out there. I don't think that they have a ton of guys that were drafted maybe last season or anything like that. Maybe some later round picks. But I think he's going to be one of the highest drafted prospects from Germany and maybe since Seider. So that's saying a lot. I do like him. I do like a defenseman from there as well that I kind of had to go back and forth in a Carlos Hendel, who's playing over here as well for the Halifax Mooseheads. But, I think everybody generally likes, offensemen that are putting the puck in the back of the net a little bit more. So that's why I decided to go with David. But for sure, I love this tournament, guys. And, with the World Junior Championships coming up, you really get the chance to see the best of each nation going up against each other. And, David's definitely going to show his worth. I think Germany as a whole has been, surprising a lot of teams in the past couple of years. In the Hlinka Gretzky Cup as well as the World Junior Championship. So,
no, I agree. I agree 100%, and I think we're going to see more and more of this young player as time goes along, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think you might get a good display here coming up here with the IIHF here, I believe, as well too. So, all right, let's hop around here a little bit and go on over to Norway, okay? And let's talk about Mikkel Eriksen. 5'11", 185-pound left-handed center. And Lance, talk to me about this young guy here, man, from Norway. I'm very much impressed by this player.
Yeah, Norway doesn't get a whole lot of guys that come out. Eriksen might be one of the better ones in a long time. Last year, at 16 years of age, he posted 2.04 points per game playing in Norway's U20 league at just 16 years old. And he scored 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points in 23 games played, and he was a plus 32.
So not bad for a 16-year-old, right?
Not bad at all. I think he's very quick center. At 5'11", he's not generally short, but he's not, typical 6'1", 6'2", likings. But I think with his offensive prowess that he'll be okay at 5'11", even if he doesn't grow anymore. And he's playing in Sweden, which is good. It's more of a competitive league, as a whole this season, as far as, prior to playing in, mostly Norway and everything like that. But he's got at the J20s for over there. He's got 10 goals and 11 assists for 21 points in 24 games played. Not too shabby at all. And I really like what I see from him. I think he's going to be a guy that stands out. For Norway, and I think for sure he's going to be one of the better players to come out of that country in a long time.
I'm with you on that. You know what I mean? I'm thinking third round, maybe middle third round for him. And like you said, I mean, look, it's going to be hard based off of what teams are going to like, what teams are going to need, what's going to be available for teams when they come to this particular point in time. But I don't know. I just kind of see him more of a middle third rounder.
Yeah, I mean the Swedish leagues are good. They post, some talented players there. So a lot tougher competition than he was getting in Norway. But I think a third round grade on him is pretty spot on for what it is. I believe that's where teams start to take a little bit more of a risk, and go off the board for, say, that the top 60 or so picks are kind of laid out pretty well. Teams know what they're going to get from players that are rated that high, and third round is where you start shopping more for need, or eventual want, for you start looking in your crystal ball and seeing that, hey, I got a lot of centers without a contract in 2 or 3 years, so maybe I should draft one this summer that could be ready in 2 or 3 years.
Right. Right.
So
okay, yeah, man, I like it. Okay, so we're gonna go into the land of Russia for this player here, and look, we've seen the plethora of goaltending coming out of Russia, and that particular part of the world has produced some really great goaltenders that are currently in the NHL right now, and but the fact that you have Ivan Ryabkin is a 5'11", 201 pound left-hand center, speaks volumes about this player, because he's not a goalie, and he does kind of remind me of another particular certain Russian player that's kind of playing for a Philadelphia Flyers team right now, but I'm not going to mention any names.
Wouldn't that be nice to draft him to go alongside of him? Who for Philly? Yeah, they do have a lot of picks this year too. But yes, Ivan is a force, man. He's over 200 pounds at just 5'11" already. Solid player. A guy that isn't afraid to go right up the gut and dance through about 3 or 4 opposing players to get to where he wants to be, prime real estate to shoot the puck. Yep. And he's got the stick handling ability to be able to do that, as well as the size and strength to push through and not lose that puck. So a guy who isn't afraid to stand in front of the net, a guy who isn't afraid to join in board battles and regain that puck control in the dirty areas. Yeah. And good for him. He's made a couple of games in the KHL this year. No points yet in the KHL, but always like to see a undrafted player in his draft year be able to make it to that point, at least, because Russia, isn't holding any punches there. It's KHL's a pretty darn good league, and it takes a lot to get there. Especially for somebody 17, they're not going to just give somebody an opportunity if they don't deserve it over there. They'll gladly, if they do make it to that point, they'll gladly still play them on the fourth line. And it is what it is if their team is a playoff team and everything like that. So for him to make it to that point says volumes for his game. And, I think of him more as an assist guy more than a goal guy. I think he's a setup artist, and, would go great with a great scoring center, right? He's going to get the puck. He's going to be in the right areas to put the puck on the tape to the guy that's going to finish it. So, I think, man, he had a great season last year in the MHL. and his numbers kind of went down this year, as far as that goes. But I think he has all the intangibles to be great, and I think that's why he's still going to be drafted pretty high in the first round.
Okay, so you're thinking of him as still a first round pick?
I do. I think of him as where maybe at the beginning of the season he was even talked about in the top 5, but when you got guys like Hagens, Schaefer, Martone, who we talked about, Misa, who we already talked about, that's kind of getting loaded up there. So I do see him going maybe in the top 10, but probably more closely to the top 15 right now. It's not a guy that's going to be potentially joining the NHL next season.
Right.
Like a Matthew Schaefer could, or like a Porter Martone could,
exactly,
very easily. So those guys, it's going to drop, and somebody's going to get a very good player in the early teens or so, a very good prospect that they may not have gotten a chance to at the beginning of the season, let's say, if everything stayed the same from the beginning of the season. So
okay, all right. Really like this player, and surprisingly not a goalie from Russia. So hey, all right. Let's stay kind of in that little realm there and go to Slovakia with Luka Radivojevic. And there, say that 3 times real fast. 5'10", 164-pound defenseman, right-hand shot defenseman, currently right now playing for the Muskegon Lumberjacks. And Lance, I have to tell you something, man. This kid plays good. I mean, he's definitely in that box of players that we like to check off to play defense the way we like them to play defense, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this kid's name has jumped up draft boards lately, and for good reason. Another guy who decided in his draft year to come over and play in the USHL, or North American hockey. And hey, why not, right? Why not get an early showing?
Lance? Look, think of it like this, okay? I think this is a major breakthrough in hockey as we know it, because we're starting to see these prominent European players coming over to the United States to play for USHL teams or NCAA teams. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that they can learn and get used to the smaller ice. I mean, we've seen this shift, I'd say, probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, for good reason. I mean, it's just good hockey over here now. And that wasn't always the case.
Right. No argument with
like
that.
You said, I think the NCAA is the second best league in the world. All right. And that's including the AHL and the KHL.
Wow.
I think the NCAA really gets you ready to play in the NHL. And, the USHL is a feeder program for that, guys to step up and go to college and play North American, hockey, collegiate hockey. And, that may very well be what this kid does. If he wants to go to school, I'm sure there's a bevy of teams that are going to have an offer ready for him. But this year, like we said, for the Lumberjacks, in 19 games played, he has 10 assists. He's a +9. He's a great mobile defenseman. We're seeing a lot of mobile defensemen in this draft. Guys that are, he's 5'10". He's not stepping over himself and, can't do crossovers. He's very, very solid in that sense. And, he can be a playmaker, like you see with all the assists that he's got. He's not necessarily the guy that's going to rifle a puck in the back of the net, but he's got his eyes open at all times, and he's going to be able to pass the puck to people that can do that.
Yeah, you better have your stick on the ice when he's around. You know what I mean? Because he's going to definitely be able to find you, for sure. And you know what though, I like that kind of a player because that makes you a good penalty killer. You know, that potentially gets you power play time. That potentially makes you quarterback of the power play. You know, those kinds of things when you have that kind of capability. And I see him being that type of player.
Yeah. And he is deemed good enough where he made Team Slovakia for this next tournament. In the next couple of days, he's going to be joining them. And, another guy who's going to be underage necessarily for this tournament, being a U20 tournament, but he's going to be playing with the big guys and showing them what he's got. And I think personally, I think he's one of the better defensemen on this team. So we shall see just how much ice time he's able to get and what he can do.
I know I'm excited, man. I'm really, really excited about these set of games coming up here, and with some of the rosters that we're seeing with some of these teams, man. I'm really excited. By the way, if you like what we do, please run over to and hit the like and subscribe button, or smash it, or whatever you got to do. But if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe, and thank you all very much for tuning in and checking us out. Hop on over to SteelFlyers.com/links/Prospect Watch to catch all the latest from Prospect Watch and all of our shows and all of our interviews, and all the things that we're doing over here as well, and all the other great articles that Lance writes as well, too, at the Prospect Watch page. So by all means, go over there and check that out. You can also check us out on all your favorite podcasting platforms, from iHeart to Spotify, you name it. All you have to do is type in Prospect Watch and get our show, come up there and just give us a 5-star rating. That would be great. So here we go now. We're coming into the home stretch, the last 3 players here, and we're going to stop off at Sweden just because we've had a lot of great players come from Sweden, especially in the last couple years in the draft. We've seen some really good players coming out of Sweden, and this one is no exception at all. Another great player, Anton Frondell, 6 foot 6'0", and 196 pounds, left-hand center. Talk to me about this guy who just seems to know how to put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's an exciting player to watch, Steel. But his stock dropped a little bit because he had an injury early this season. Since then, he's been able to come back, but just an amazing player to watch. I love watching this young player. He can pretty much do it all. He scores some amazing highlight reel goals. At J20 this season, he played in 10 games. Like I said, he was hurt, so he's only played in 10 games, but he has 5 goals and 7 points and is a +9. Last year, he had in J20, he had 18 goals for 39 points, and just a fun player to watch, Steel. I can't say that enough. I think he's going to be still taken very high, regardless of the fact that he was injured. I think he's going to be taken really high. There is some teams out there that love their Swedes, and a lot of them are struggling this year. So depending on where they might finish, no pun intended with a country, but because they're rivals. But I think he'll be taken pretty high, not as high as he might have been, but yeah, I think this young man, he's got the talent that people are not going to just be able to just look over his injuries, and he's so young. I think he's going to be able to recoup from those injuries and put them in the rearview mirror. So.
Okay, so stock dropped a little bit, though, but do we still think he's going to be a first rounder, or do you think maybe he might have dropped to the second?
I'm still thinking he's going to be a first rounder for sure. Yeah. I don't think that teams are going to let him necessarily drop that far, being the stock that he had at the beginning of this season. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he'll be one of those guys like Mishkov was, where teams would have had him, very high up at the beginning of the season, but for different reasons, Mishkov wasn't injured. He just had a big old contract that they had to work through. But, stock dropped, and then the Flyers said, "Oh my goodness, this guy's still on the board. I'm taking him. I don't care. We'll deal with all the other stuff." And that's what a team's going to have to do with this guy. Look over those injuries, check him out at, the combines and stuff like that, and see that he's healthy, and, snatch him up.
Good player. I think is going to be on the block here for this one for sure. All right. So we'll stay in the S countries here now, and we'll go to the player that we spoke to on Prospect Watch here not too long ago, a player from Switzerland, and we're talking about Elia Neuenschwander, a top-flight goaltender, and he's the only goaltender on this list, I believe, is he not?
Yep, only one on this list as the top player for his country. But man, he's a good one. Everybody
he is, man.
If you watched our stuff here, I'm a lifelong goaltender. Played it my whole life. But man, this guy just has my eyes bulging when I watch him play. It's kind of tough. Joshua Ravensbergen, who we interviewed as well, is an amazing goaltender in his own right, and I think he will be the first one taken off the board.
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
But if I had my pick and I was an NHL GM, I would take this young man from Switzerland. I just love his game. 6'4" frame, a big stand-up guy. Generally, you don't see that nowadays. You see a bunch of butterfly flopping goaltenders, and he's just a different breed now. Solid guy, solid numbers. Just 2.2 goals against in the U20 over in Switzerland this year. 2.29 in the SL leagues, the professional leagues. So not too shabby. Man, this kid is just good, man. You watch him play, and he plays the way that I think every goalie should, man. Stand up as long as you can, be as big as you can in net, and then when you absolutely have to, drop down. So many guys just drop down to their knees as soon as a player skates past the blue line, and I can't stand it, Steel. I can't stand it. This guy, as we said in our interview with him, I'm just enamored by his play style, challenges shooters, stand-up style. He'll go down. His reaction time is quick as heck. Gets down, stops the puck on his knees if he has to, and then he's right back up so he can see over guys. Standing at 6'4", he can see over most guys, and gets back into the play quick as anything. Man, I love this kid, Steel. I would draft him as my future number one goalie for NHL. I think the kid is that talented.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So I know you would draft him as your number one goalie, but where do you think he would land on the draft list?
I think he's going to go in the second round, and I think that's very strong for any goaltender. As we know, there's very few goaltenders that go in the first round, just because they take a while to develop. But man, I'd put a second round. I would place a second round grade on him all day long, and I'd be happy to take him and with that second round pick, because I think he's something special.
And you think he's even going to probably be the second goalie taken even too?
I think he should be. I don't know if he will be, because the Swiss leagues are not, the best as far as players that he will see. but in international play, he thrives too. So, even more so sometimes. And he talked about that as well. He loves to play for, that Swiss national team. And, he is going to be there with Switzerland. Playing in this tournament in the next couple of days. And I hopefully he gets a shot to get in there. He is young, obviously. So, he is going to be on the battling that depth chart with some older goaltenders ahead of him. But I still think he's the best one out of those three for Team Switzerland. So hopefully we get to see him in some games.
I think
he gets a chance to prove himself.
I hope we do. I think we might, for sure. And what an amazing young kid this was to talk to. He has all the tools. He's got the right mindset. He's a goaltender, so that tells you something right there, He chose to stand there willingly to get beamed in the head with 100-mile-an-hour slap shots. I mean, I don't know what it is with you goaltenders, man. I don't get it, but all right. Okay, so here we go. We saved the best for last, and that's right, folks. The player from the United States, and we're talking about probably the assumptive first overall pick in James Hagens, right? 5'10", 176-pound left-hand center, who, by all accounts, they're pretty much putting him as the top draft pick for this year, are they not?
I mean, it depends what site
what
you
list
look at.
Yeah,
what
I get
list you're looking at. But man, he's certainly has the potential to be. Last year for Team USA, scored 39 goals, 63 assists for 102 points, was a plus 43 on the year. And, dominated at World Junior U18 championships in that tournament. Had 9 goals and 13 assists for a total of 22 points in 7 games played. Only 7 games
wasn't
played.
That a record? Didn't he set that record? Yeah.
Yes, most valuable player of that tournament. And yes, he did set that record, for that. So, I mean, man, the kid can put the puck in the back of the net and just is buried right now. He chose to go to Boston College and, buried on that depth chart there. But
darn.
Has been coming on, though. 16 games played, 5 goals, 15 assists, 20 points for a plus 15. So not too shabby there. But, I mean, if you look at the team that he's on, in Boston College, man, it's just a wealth of already drafted talent that he's having to battle his way through, and he's definitely going to be a top 5 pick in this draft. But I mean, Gabe Perreault, Ryan Leonard, guys like that, when you're having to deal with those guys, to Dean Letourneau, which I really liked in last year's draft. Big body kid. Man, he's got some guys that he's got to battle for some ice time, but I've never seen a kid steal in quite a long time that can play heads up hockey the way this kid does. If you see game tape of this kid, he does not ever look down at the puck. Ever. I've never seen him glance down to see where the puck is on his stick or anything. And I mean, yes, you're taught not to do that from the time you hit peewees and can start to check, because if you're staring at your stick, you're going to get, pelted. You're going to get nailed with a hit. But this kid just can dangle his way through everybody and just never look down. Amazing talent. I think this kid has a really bright future. Man, would I love to have him on my team. If I was an NHL GM, just a dominant player, and already a guy who can, play as well defensively as he can offensively. So, most teams really look to that now. And you don't really see a whole lot of that with kids his age being so defensively responsible already. So, just gonna really, really, stand out there in this draft class, and it's going to be hard not to take him essentially number one. But
okay,
maybe teams might pass on him because his lack of goal totals in the NCAA. But if I'm anybody sitting in the top 5 or 6 or 7 and he falls to me, it's going to be
that up all day.
It's going to be a darn good present, and I'm going to get those jerseys printed as fast as possible with his name on it. Those NHL jerseys with his name on it, because man, this kid's going to be a talent for a good long time to come.
I think so too, man. He has that ceiling still. You get a lot of players that come out. I mean, I'm not trying to say that Bedard was a bust or anything, but look, he hasn't necessarily reached his ceiling yet, and he's still learning how to play the NHL game the way it's supposed to be played, where you got to still be able to play responsibly defensively. Once you get all that, then the offense will come because that's what you've done. Do you know what I mean? But it just seems like James has that kind of already figured out. He already is playing responsibly, but he's still able to still put the puck in the back of the net. So, all right, I'm thinking he's going to probably be one of those top 5 players I'm going to go with.
I think so, and we talked a lot about the potentially some top 5 players there, but Team USA looks pretty stacked with him in the roster for this World Junior Tournament. Getting to play with Ryan Leonard, who he already does play with on a regular basis, Oliver Moore, Trevor Conley, who was drafted last year, Gabe Perreault, Cole Eiserman's going to be on this team, Logan Hensler is going to be on this team, Cole Hudson, Zaid Bunneman. Like, look out for Team USA, guys. Look out for Team USA is all I got to say. They have some kids that can really put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, man. I'm looking very forward to especially these games coming up here with this IIHF. I believe we're going to see some of these kids putting the flag in the ice, so to speak, and trying to improve their draft stock. You know what I mean? That's another reason why these guys play these tournaments, so they can get more exposure, get more more tape of them guys playing against more of their peers. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why we love these tournaments as well too. So very excited about these upcoming games. Very excited about the draft coming up in Chicago. I think we're going to see quite a few of these names fly off the board. And when I mean fly off the board. So, Lance, thank you very much for the great article that you wrote that we base this entire show off of. But it gives you a prospect of all the different types of talent that's coming through from all the different places around the world and all the different countries that are putting up hockey players. And I got to tell you, man, we're seeing an uptick in the level of talent and the number of talented players coming from all over the world. And we're just excited about that. And we can't wait to bring you even more stuff here at Prospect Watch. So, Lance, got anything in the works for us?
Still trying to log some guys and get them penciled in to join us on Prospect Watch. It's the holiday season. It's a little tough. Trying to get some guys.
IHF tournaments are being played, and blah, blah,
blah. A lot of guys are playing in these tournaments. But for sure, I'm really, really interested to watch this tournament. I'm going to watch every single game I can, and really see these prospects and who stands out, and maybe who faltered a little bit and hurt their stock. So maybe there's another Prospect Watch show in that dealing with that. Who knows?
Oh, I think there might be. We might have to circle back around and come back and say how these players did in the tournament. I think that's another good show there, man, for sure. But we definitely got a good show here for you tonight, folks, and we're really excited about this one here, and we're excited about seeing these players in the upcoming tournaments, and then also potentially hearing their names in the upcoming draft. I'm your co-host, Ron SteelFlyers, and this has been a special edition of Prospect Watch, where we've taken a trip around the world to look at all the top prospects from each country for this upcoming 2025 NHL Draft. Thank you very much for watching Prospect Watch. We will catch you all on the next episode.